This is the first of a 6-part series on YouTube called California Banana Slugs. I'm Connie Barlow, and this first episode is just going to be an introduction to wild slugs. Now, wild slugs, they don't move very fast. You may see them in different positions. You may see them eating different things. But you're really on the move yourself, and so you don't see much behavior. Summer 2020, I was graced with my husband to live in the redwoods, reforest redwoods of Humboldt County, very near the coast, along Freshwater Creek. And so there I was able to actually attract in by offering food and then watch the behavior and video some of the most interesting behavior of banana slugs over about a 3-month period. So, first episode, I'm just going to be showing you what banana slugs look like in the wild. And then the second episode is watching slugs eat and poop. And that's going to be about 13.5 minutes long. Episode 3 is going to be called Move Fast and Squeeze into Cracks. That's only about 10 minutes long. And you're going to be surprised at how fast these banana slugs can move. Episode 4, Two-Spot Finds a Mate. Now, some of the slugs have spots, and that's an easy way to identify them as individuals. If you look carefully at the upper slug here, you'll see 2 spots at the top of its right side. That's Two-Spot. Episode 5 is also a slug I came to know and love, and this one I called Spotify. Spotify finds a mate. Finally, episode 6 is Mating Crescendo. I do not know who these 2 slugs are, but this is the one that I had the opportunity to actually see during the daytime, doing key parts of the mating procedure that can take longer than a day. So, that's how I'll end this series. But for now, this is Introduction to Wild Slugs. So, banana slugs are not the biggest slugs in the world, but they're awfully big. And here's a standard looking one. It's about the color of a banana, maybe the shape of a banana. This one you'll see is in the wild. It's along a leaf, but often you'll see them in wet areas. This one very close to a creek. And there you see it, bright yellow in the lower right. This one is a beige colored one, no spots. Beige colored, and you can see it's moving in a very moist area. This one is classic yellow. It's kind of curled up, means it's not really moving much at this point, and you'll see it's pretty dry around there. And there's some sun starting to show in, so it's going to have to move out of there. They do not like the sun. This one, very unusual color. This is about as orange as it gets. And you'll see some spots on this one. Also that it's up on leaves. It's not always seen them crawling on the ground, but sometimes they're on the vegetation. Here's another orange one on another piece of vegetation. When they're not exploring, looking around for food, doing other things, they prefer to be off the ground. They feel safer there. Here's a bright yellow one, but look, past its mantle, that's that clear yellow area up by the head, the mantle. This is a mollusk, and so a lot of the terms are the same as what you'll find for ocean mollusks. But look at all those spots blending into blackness there. Here's a beige one with some spots. Here's another one. And here's one where often I see them. It's where they're really in contrast with something on the ground, and I'm watching the ground carefully along a trail or bushwhacking just to make sure I don't step on them, especially along a creek. Here's one, and the leaves here are the fallen leaves of redwoods. Redwoods are semi-deciduous. These are the coast redwoods. They need fog, absolutely need fog. And they drop their leaves not as little leaflets, but in distinct branchlets like this. This is natural for them. Here's what a redwood looks like in its hugeness. This is about as big as they get. This is in one of the state or national parks up along the coast of Northern California. And that is me in the picture. Look at this one over towards the left. This one is up in some vegetation. It looks like it might actually be finding something to eat there. But if you're a slug out in the wild, it doesn't get any better than this. You want to find poop. And you want to find poop of the kind of omnivores. This was probably a piece of bear poop here that had just eaten some of the huckleberries. And, they pass through pretty intact, and so the slug is going to finish digesting those partly digested berries. Here's a slug that has found pretty fresh bear poop. This was along an old logging road that we were walking on, and this was huckleberry season. So lots of huckleberries in there. There were other fruits blooming as well from some of the agricultural places, plums and so forth. Here's stepping back a little, and you can see there's actually 2 slugs at this bit of bear poop. Bunch of all clear yellow slugs. I have no idea what they were doing here, whether something was edible or whether something else was going on socially. This was pretty near a creek. And again, you can see this one is on the move. During the summer, there usually isn't much rain at all. It's moisture through fog and then the dripping of fog from redwood trees and other vegetation, which will then cause the slugs to come out of estivation and go searching for food or searching for a mate. Now, part of how they move is through mucus on the underside, which is then gathered up at the tail end, and then eventually it'll curve its head end around and re-ingest that. You recycle your gliding material. Here you can see, look at the end of that one. That's got some more mucus to eventually recycle. Now this one is, I had just never seen it in this on the move in this kind of sphagnum, but this kind of sphagnum is actually growing on a deciduous tree, big leaf maple. Trees usually don't get very big. They grow very close to creeks. Redwoods cannot grow too close to the creeks. Their roots just won't take it, but the big leaf maples can, and they bend right over. This one's right next to the porch, so that I'll be filming a lot of the banana slugs on. And so even though it looks like in the wild, it's right next to the porch. And so let's take a look upward of these 2 kinds of trees. This is a big leaf maple looking straight up, and there's some of the branches of a taller redwood over to the right. Just absolutely beautiful trees. Now, this wild banana slug is also on a redwood tree right now. You might not guess it, but let's take a look back. See that? You're starting to see some wood showing up there. And further back, this is a fallen over redwood. I think it fell over a creek here, and that's how I happened to see the slug while I was walking right in the creek. No trail there, walking right in the creek. And of course, a lot of moss around. I'd only seen this once in the wild. This far up a redwood, absolutely nothing to eat there, but curled up in a position like it's digesting, it's resting. It probably feels safe there. There's no animal that's going to come along and step on it on there. But it's unusual to see them like that. They do estivate during the driest season, but I imagine it's probably under leaves somewhere or under a log. Now here I'm putting this on just to draw your attention to some of the anatomy. Look at that big hole. It's only out the right-hand side, and you're going to hear in the next episode, I think it is, the next episode, you're going to hear how I only partially knew what that hole is for. There is not another one on the left side. One hole just on the right. And also, notice what looks like antennae. They're actually called tentacles, because again, this is a mollusk. And see that little black dot at the end? That's an eye spot. It can see. This is the only snail I saw in 2 full summers in redwood country. Very unusual to see them. This is slug habitat, not snail habitat. Very rare while I'm out in the wild to actually see the mating position of wild banana slugs. Here you can see right along a creek. Here's getting a little closer. It's always this classic yin-yang symbol, always with an upper and a lower. Here's one. I think I recall taking this in southern Oregon. I'm not exactly sure, but that's still, southernmost Oregon along the coast is still redwood habitat. Okay, so this is the end of my introduction to wild slugs. For the remaining 5 episodes, we're going to be dealing with behavior. So the next one we're going to see is watching slugs eat and poop. That will be 10 minutes. Then we'll see move fast and squeeze into cracks. That's about 10.5 minutes. Then we're going to see two-spot finds a mate, and this is about 10.5 minutes. And then number 5, Spotify finds a mate. And this one's really long, 34 minutes, the longest of them all. And then finally, mating crescendo, very end of the summer. This is 15 minutes long. Enjoy.